So, welcome all of you, my dear students, and today on the occasion of Dashera, and also, one more special event is there today. About connected to this lesson only. Can anyone share what is it? No, no, don't know.
No, sir.
Dhamma Chakra Parivartan Din. What is it? What is today? One more speciality that is related to this text, this lesson. Diksha Bhumi, have you heard about Nagpur? Yes, dear students.
Yes,
Can you please share something about it? Okay, I'm sharing with you the details on Wikipedia. You can read them. Meanwhile, admitting the students, those who are wishing to join. Is it visible, dear students, about Dhammo Chakra Parivartan thing?
Yes,
That is
yes,
Dhammo
sir. It
Chakra
is.
Parivartan, Pravartan Day, not Parivartan, Pravartan. These are new things, no? For us, we are not knowing in detail. But on this occasion, it is a coincidence that we are studying today this lesson and something is there related to it. Anil, would you like to read some details about it?
Yes, sir.
Please read.
Dharmachakra Pravartan Day. Dharmachakra Anupravartan Din is a day to celebrate the Buddhist conversion of B.R. Ambedkar and approximately 600,000 followers on 14 October 1956 at Diksha Bhumi. Dhammachakra Pravartan Day is a day when the architect of Indian Constitution, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, renounced Hinduism and accepted Buddhism. It is primarily celebrated at Diksha Bhumi every year. Every year on Ashoka Vijayadashmi, millions of Buddhism gather at Diksha Bhumi to celebrate the mass conversion. October 2016 marked the Diamond Jubilee. Every year, thousands of people convert to Buddhism on Dharmachakra Pravartan Din and Ashok Vijayadashmi at Diksha Bhumi, Nagpur. Here in 2015, around 65,000 people, and in 2019, 67,543 people converted to Buddhism.
Very good.
Am I
Thank you, Riya. So it was just a brief account that I just wanted to share with you. That's why I remember all of a sudden that this day is also observed as Dhammachakra Pravartan Day. That is Dhammachakra Anuparavartan Din. That is also it is famous as with another name. Fine. So I just want to say when you correlate, your studies with your day-to-day activities, with some other stories or some other knowledge that you have, it helps us remember and understand the concepts more clear, right? And like you remember about some characters from the poem, it was little difficult, to learn and remember their colors, their names, and all. But your correlation, your prior knowledge, didn't it help you really? It is applicable, in all aspects because we remember the things in the form of images, right? Do you agree, dear students? Am I audible?
yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
In the same way,
Yes, sir.
whatever the activities are there around us, it is not just about the text that we are studying, but in future, some of your friends or anybody you might have heard or you may come across somebody is going to Diksha Bhumi. Then why are you going? What is there? What is the special? What is it the occasion about? That time you will be facing those problems and you may not be able to answer, right? But today you got them. I think Some of you might be aware before also, but many of you might not. Even I was not aware yesterday, to be very frank. Right? So doesn't this text help us, gain knowledge also? And of course, it teaches us many lessons in our life and gives us tremendous knowledge that we can apply and be knowledgeable and cultured person in future, right? So
Yes, sir.
without wasting much time here, let's start with some activities given before you read. Before you read activity, use a dictionary or ask your teacher's help as you discuss the following questions in group. So the first question here, Gauri Pargaonkar, would you like to read it?
Yes, sir. May I read?
Please, dear, over to you.
Yes, sir. What is a sermon? Is it different from a lecture or a talk? Can this word also be used in negative way or as a joke? As in my mother's sermon about getting my work done on time.
Good. So I think we have already discussed this thing yesterday itself, right?
Yes, sir.
Remember?
Yes, sir.
Good. So what is a sermon? That it is a lecture
Yeah,
or
lecture.
a preach, a teaching by someone, you know, and that is delivered before a group so that they can gain a knowledge, especially the spiritual, right? So is it different from a lecture or a talk? Yes, it is different from
Yes,
a
sir. It
lecture
is
or
different.
a talk. Lecture is just a person goes on speaking and speaking, and the people go, listen. But it is all about material things. And talk, they are just like gossips that we have a talk. Then can this word also be used in a negative way or as a joke? As in my mother's sermon about getting my work done on time. What do you think? Can it be used in a negative way? What do
Yes,
you
sir.
think, dear
Sometimes
students?
it can be.
Here is a sentence given. Hmm?
Yes, sir. Sometimes it can be used.
Can you give one example? I'm sharing now the word with you here so that you can get more details. I think I had shared, but I don't remember exactly. It's present. Can you see here? Sermon. A speech on a religious or moral subject that is given as a part of a service in church especially. Right? So what are its other meanings? Let's see. Informal way, how it is used, a long or tedious piece of admonition or reproof, a lecture. He understood that if he said any more, he would have to listen to another lengthy sermon. And some people, especially, you must also be getting tired of one or the another teachers. Whenever they get tired, they just go on giving lectures. You do this, you don't do this. Do you find me also like that sometimes, dear students? Yes or no? He doesn't have any work rather than giving lectures. You know, whatever here is the topic, in the topic in the text, there is no
Yes, sir.
relation. Somehow he is managing and he's just going on giving us lectures. It happens. We find some people, in the society, in school. Some of our friends are also like that, one or two, and we call them very smart or over smart. In Hindi, you must be saying, "बड़े शानी बन रहे, बने," like that something you are saying. Okay, so in such an informal way, like I think we have studied in the previous text about Valli, that she was not knowing the meaning of proud, right? But they used to say to one another, proud, proud. Proud means they were not knowing the exact meaning, but they used it as a slang word. Means they mean something in a negative way, but it was all limited to themselves, right? They might have heard someone saying that he is very proud. He means to say egoist, but that way you have traveled and you enjoyed your journey by bus. बड़ा बड़ा तीर मार गए, बड़ा तीर मारा है, like that we say na. So that way they were using that word proud. So similarly here also in this sentence, Anil, can you read this sentence? Try to read it in a joking or a funny way, or so that a person can understand that it has been used in a negative way.
My mother's sermon about getting my work done on time.
How it happens. If you're not doing your work on time, then your mother must be okay. Sit there. In my childhood I used to do my work on time, and then she goes on sharing her experiences. Once in my Hindi lecture, the teacher had asked a question, and I was able to answer it immediately, and none of them in the class, they just sat quiet. And before my teacher was asking for the question and answers in the notebook, I was ready. The moment teacher asked, I used to submit my work. So like that, parents also, sometimes teachers also, they give you a very lengthy, long lecture. So in that way, also in a joking or in a negative way, this word someone can be used. Do you agree, dear students? Understanding everyone?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Second, find out the meanings of the words and phrases given in the box. So here are some words and the phrases. You are supposed to find their meaning. Can you tell? Afflicted with. The first one. Anybody? This is the one first. Afflicted with. Have you done this activity or not yet? What does it mean?
Troubled with something.
Yes. To cause one to contract an ailment or disease, means being suffered, right? That is afflicted with. I'm sharing with you again here. Afflict, of a problem or illness, cause pain or trouble. If I'm saying that I'm afflicted with, fever, means I'm suffering from fever. I'm being troubled or suffering, bothering. So these are similar words. I think you can see here on screen. Got it, dear students? Afflict. Do you want its Hindi meaning? Here you can see. दुख देना, सताना, पीड़ित करना, right? In Marathi also you can see एखाद्याला वेदना, दुःख वगैरे देणे, दुखावणे, पिडणे, छळणे. So do you afflict anybody, dear students? No, you never. I know. You are all good boys and girls. Fine. Then second, be composed. What do you mean by here? Be composed. Can anyone share? What do you understand if one says you be composed? Yeah,
Calm and
very good.
quiet.
Absolutely. It means calm and quiet, right? Then the next one, you can see desolation. Anybody?
State of destruction.
Yes, means anxious, sad, disappointed. So that state it elaborates. That is desolation. Can you see? A state of complete emptiness or destruction, great unhappiness or loneliness. Right? Then the next here is lamentation. What does it mean?
This
Similar to that
expression of
Grief and sorrow.
sorrow.
sorrow, lamentation. Okay, And in some religious book, it is also used as, you can see, a book of the Bible telling of the desolation of Judah after the fall of, since it is again related to grief or sorrow. So that is lamentation. Fine. Then the next is procure. Can you say the meaning of procure? Obtain,
To obtain
share,
something.
or acquire. Very good. For example, food procured for the rebels. If you remember, I think this was the word used in class 9. Prashant's story was there now. Exama. Whether in the storm of Exama, if you remember from Odisha, that place. Exama. Remember? There how he had managed to procure the food for those, those who were all affected and had no
Yes, sir.
food left. Good. And then the next one here is be subject to. What do you understand from be subject to? Hmm?
Force someone. Force someone to do something.
Yes, that is what be subject to. Means we are also troubling, no? If we are forcing someone to do something, it means we are troubling. That way you can understand. Fine, is it okay? Got it, everyone? These words, their meaning:
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
affected, decompose, desolation, lamentation, procure, and be subject to. Okay, now this is the third one. Have you heard of the Sermon on the Mount? Who delivered it? Who do you think delivered a sermon at Banaras? Can you imagine and try to understand with reference to this something? Someone on the Mount you might have heard somewhere.
So Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. In Marathi we say Yeshu Christ. He had delivered that sermon, and that sermon is a word that has been adapted from there only. Fine.
Yes, sir.
So the Sermon on the Mount was delivered by Lord Christ, and this is now the sermon at Banaras. Can you guess who has delivered
By
it?
Gautama Buddha. By Gautama Buddha.
Very good. And it was his first, sermon after he got enlightenment. Enlightenment, he got knowledge about everything, especially about himself. Right? To realize oneself, that is the summit within. If you remember the class 8 lesson you have studied.
Yes, sir.
Good. So can we start now with this? Even if you know everything from the text, there are two main stories. How Gautam Buddha, or
Yes, sir. We can start.
enlightened, and how he was renamed from Siddhartha Gautama to Gautam Buddha. And then another story about Gautami, that lady.
That lady Gautami.
Very good. Isha Gautami. How he was also taught a good lesson about the world. Right? So can we begin, dear students?
Yes, sir. We can start.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Gautam Buddha, 563 BC to 483 BC. We have learned more about Gautam Buddha. I think yesterday a Wikipedia page was shared with you. Began life as a prince named Siddhartha Gautama in northern India. At first, he was sent away from schooling in the Hindu sacred scriptures, and 4 years later, he returned home to marry a princess. Means, at what age did he marry a princess?
At 16.
Yeah, very good. 12 years when he was sent, and after that, he completed 4 years of his education there, and finally came and got married. Right? They had a son and lived for 10 years as befitted royalty. And they are without any interruptions from anybody. They lived their life for 10 years in such a happy way, in such a way that they were not knowing what is grief. They were knowing everything as if there is happiness and happiness across the world. Like if you remember the prince, the Happy Prince in class 9, you have studied the lesson. That he was not aware about the grief that the people were having. But later, when he was made a statue and was put outside with good height, he could notice everything and how the swallow, the bird helped other people. You know that story well. And that way, then what was the time or what was his age when he, decided that he should not live here in just the mansion or the palace, but go away and try to be enlightened. So if you are saying that at the age of 12, he was sent for schooling, then after 4 years, means at the age of 16, he got married. Then after that, he spent 10 years there. What do you think now? What is his age?
26.
26.
26.
Very good. So at about the age of 25, it was approximately 10 years means if I'm going to be 29 years old tomorrow, so today I'm 28 years old. So similarly, even if we, logically understood that he was 26 years old as per the references given here, but exactly, when he left, that time he was 25 years old. Fine. So please
Yes,
keep
sir.
in mind a gap of one. So at about the age of 25, the prince here two of were shielded from the suffering of the world. While out hunting, chance upon a sick man. And it happened one day that he came across by chance a sick man, then an aged man. After seeing a sick man, he understood there is sickness also in the world. I can also get sick. I can also suffer from any of the diseases. Then an aged man, I'm also going to be, an old man. Then a funeral processing. I'm also going to die. Yes, you can see now the grief he is realizing and understanding. Okay. Then an aged man, then a funeral procession, and finally a monk begging for alms. So these were the four incidents he came across. Who was the first one? A sick man.
Sick man.
Can you tell?
Sick man, aged man, and then a funeral procession, and finally a monk begging for alms.
Okay, good. So here you understood that firstly he came across the sick man and he realized that he is also going to be sick and suffer from the diseases, if not today but in future. Then he realized that he is also going to be an old man, right? And finally he came across a funeral process and he realized and he was told that he is also going to die one day. And finally a monk begging for alms. But the final, the incident that he came across was about a monk, who was begging for alms and he was getting something to food, some food. But when he was described by the person who was with Siddharth, he told him that he is doing all this just to gain the peace of mind, to just to get enlightened. And this way, Siddharth now is going in search of being Gautam Buddha. How the journey began and how it happened, let's see in detail. These sights so moved him that he at once went out into the world to seek enlightenment concerning the sorrows he had witnessed. He wandered for 7 years. Then this is 32 years old now. Okay, we can say. Finally sat down under a peepal tree where he vowed to stay until enlightenment came. And then he went out, leaving all of those things behind. His wife, his son, his own kingdom and all. And finally went out from there. So enlightened after 7 days, he renamed the tree the Bodhi tree. And after he was enlightened, after 7 days, he renamed that peepal tree as Bodhi tree, the tree of wisdom, and began to teach and to share his new understanding. Bodh Gaya, dear students, have you heard the place from northern part of India?
Yes, sir.
Both.
Both.
Yes, sir.
So it is the part, in the beginning it is mentioned now that he is from north, right? That is northern India. So that is the place, Bodh Gaya, and where he was sitting and was finally enlightened. So dear students, he was meditating, he was sitting in the position. Finally, you have seen in the video how he sat there for longer. So what does it tell you? That you should also leave your home, go somewhere in the forest or in the jungle and do that? What do you understand from this? What do you mean by enlightened here?
Means he awakened.
Hmm? What does it show? That if a person, is just sitting, or if having beard that has grown long, you know, especially now I'm giving you an example. Those who have been the scientists, you see their pictures. Remember them. How are they? Are they all with long hair and beard? Most of them. What do you
Yes,
say?
sir.
Yes, sir.
So a person with a long beard gains knowledge. Is it the fact?
No, sir.
No.
In
No,
fact, if
sir.
you don't beard and don't shave for a year, then do you think I will be enlightened? No, it doesn't mean that. It shows their hard work, dear students. Even they don't get much time, they are least bothered about either they have food, they are least bothered. They are not living for eating, but they are eating sometimes for living. What you do? What we do? We eat for live or live for eat? We should live to eat or eat to live. What do you say?
Eat to live.
Eat
Eat to
to
live.
live.
Eat to
Very
live.
good. Okay, good. So this, dear students, this description tells us about their hard work. How he worked hard, how he spent his days, in order to gain knowledge. By just sitting, a person may not get knowledge, may not gain. That is again a controversial thing that you will, find in an argument or in a debate. But here, the message that we can understand is about his hard work. All the scientists, did they just sit and gain knowledge and invented many things, or they did something, some hard work? What do you say?
So they did the hard
Did
work.
hard work.
And that is the reason even our former president, Dr. Kalam, he was least bothered. He might not get much time to have his hair cut. Like today, our honorable Prime Minister, what does he say about his uh, dress that Modi, what is his dress called? It was a famous fashion before some years. Does anyone remember? Modi Kurta, something like that it was named as, and was available there in all the shops. And people were buying and wearing those kinds of clothes when
Yes,
Honorable
sir.
Prime Minister became the Prime Minister the very first time, right?
Modi coat.
Modi coat, Modi kurta, something like that they say. But he gave the reason, why they are short. Means why does he wear the clothes with short sleeves? What reason does he give? Have you heard telling him saying the reason?
No, sir.
Okay, I'll share with you. He used to travel from one place to another and had spent much time, gaining knowledge about our nation and about his self-realization, like enlightenment. Fine. So he was there and he had been there in Himalaya also for a longer time. So he has to do all of his works all alone. And especially the clothes, the sleeves get dirty more than any other part of the cloth or shirt. Do you agree, boys? The
Yes,
sleeves
sir.
get dirty, you know, and it takes much time. You may ask your mother, or if you're cleaning or washing yourself, you must have realized. I have also washed in my childhood till class 12. Being in a hostel, I had to do everything myself. Anyway, so I know that it takes much time to clean. So finally, what he did, just to get rid of, wasting his time cleaning his shirt longer, he got them all cut from here, and that way it got very famous later, and still even today he prefers those kinds of clothes only. Anyway, so that way you can understand he did not just go and sit, but it tells us the lesson, the hard work he must have done, right? If you are spending and if you are fully engrossed in your studies, You will forget about your food. You will forget either you have had your water or not, or had breakfast or not. You will be not bothering about it because you are more concerned about what you are doing. You want to understand further more. If you have a big book that you are reading and found much interest in that, you know, you don't care about any more or other things, but you are fully in that and want to know what happened next. And until and unless you finish with that, you are there only in the book, right?
Yes,
Even
sir.
if you are watching a movie for 3 hours, do you remember if it is of your interest? Do you remember if you have had your breakfast, if you are hungry? No,
No, sir.
because you are watching there, and if even your mother asks for, hey, Anil, you have not had your food, please have, I'll have. But if she says again and again, no, I don't want to have, I'm not hungry, like that you will say, even if you have, even if you don't have your food, because you are more concerned about what you are doing. And this way, dear students, you should understand the hard work described here. So don't take it that way that you should also go out and there you will gain knowledge. No, it won't happen. So enlightened after 7 days, he renamed the tree the Bodhi tree, tree of wisdom, and began to teach and to share his new understanding. At that point, he became known as the Buddha, the awakened or the enlightened. He got awakened. You should also get awakened. Awaken means just to get up and sit out of bed. No, it doesn't mean awaken. Awaken means you know everything, what is good, what is bad. You are aware about these things. You know your good qualities, you know your bad qualities, and you know how to control your feelings, emotions, everything. So that is awaken. You know that this is a laziness. For example, you go to bed at 9 p.m. at night, and this is 9 a.m. You know that there is English lecture at 9, and you have still not got up, right? So you are not awakened. Even if you are there out of bed, then also it is not awakened. But when you know that it is 7 a.m. and there is at 9 a.m. English lecture, I should get ready. Then the laziness, either you are tired, either you are feeling to sleep for more 5 or 10 minutes. You don't think of it. You just get up and do it. So that is what you can understand, dear students. Awaken, enlighten. Or do you think it is something different? Do you think that knowledge will be there? Coming down from somewhere in the sky, somebody will appear before you and will say Tathastu, and then you will be awakened, enlightened. Do you think it will happen?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Good. So there may be the truth or not. Again, it will be again controversial. We'll not discuss much about it. But here, what you should understand as a student that I'm sharing with you. Fine? Understanding everyone?
Yes, sir.
Good. So the Buddha preached his first sermon at the city of Banaras, most holy of the living places on the river Ganges. The sermon has been preserved and is given here. It reflects the Buddha's wisdom about one inscrutable kind of suffering. And here is the sermon given, what he has told there the very first time. And this is a text adapted from Betty Renshaw, Values and Vices, a college reader, that was published in 1975. I know that you know this story well. We have watched also a video. May I read or does anybody want to read? What do you say? Okay, I'll read it out for you all loudly. And you please also listen to those audios, the link that was shared. This is very interesting lesson. Isa Gautami had an only son, and he died. In her grave, she carried the dead child to all her neighbors, asking them for medicine. And the people said, she has lost her senses. The boy is dead. At length, Isa Gautami met a man who replied to her request. I cannot give the medicine for that child. This is old language, dear students. The, thou, their meaning. Am I right? The, you, thy, your, right? But I know a physician who can. And the little girl said, pray tell me, sir, who is he? And the man replied, go to Sakyamuni, the Buddha. Isa Gautami repaired to Buddha and cried. Lord and Master, give me the medicine that will cure myself, cure my boy. The Buddha answered, I want a handful of mustard seed. And when the girl, in her joy, promised to procure it, the Buddha added, the mustard seed must be taken from a house where no one has lost a child, husband, parent, or friend. Poor Kisa Gautami now went from house to house, and the people pitied her and said, here is mustard seed. Take it. But when she asked, did a son or daughter, a father or mother die in your family? They answered her, alas, the living are few, but the dead are many. Do you agree, dear students? The living are few and the dead are many. What do you understand?
Many
Yes?
family members have died.
Yes. Do you also agree that whatever the people are there on this planet today are very less in number as compared to those who are not and who have been here on this planet? Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, very good. For example, in my family, we are 5 members. But if I think of my ancestors or those who have been, you know, I can't say the number. So they are far, more in number than the living people today on the planet. So this is what here the people mean to her. Alas, the living are few, but the dead are many. Do not remind us of our deepest grief. And there was no house, but some beloved one had died in it. Kisa Gautami became weary and hopeless, and sat down at the wayside watching the lights of the city as they flickered up and were extinguished again. And there she was sitting where she found the lights were flickering up and were finally extinguished again, which were getting put off. At last, the darkness of the night reigned everywhere, and it happened that it was night, and she considered the fate of men, that their lights flicker up and are extinguished again. And then she remembers how the people, they lived, they were born, and finally they died. And she thought to herself, how selfish am I in my grief? Death is common to all. Yet in this valley of desolation, there is a path that leads him to immortality who has surrendered all selfishness. And finally, dear students, she realized that yes, it's not me alone who has lost son. There are all people all over the world who has lost one or another, or many people, right? So I'm selfish, means I'm very selfish that I'm thinking that I have only lost and I want my son back. It may not be possible. So this can tell us, dear students, that when we realize the things, then only we gain knowledge. Experience only teaches you sometimes. Otherwise, your parents go on telling. Even my parents were telling me that you should do this, you should do that way. But I might not have listened to them, and today I regret for those things that had I had listened to them and had followed them, because they were experienced. I was not that time, but today I experienced it myself, and today I know that they were right. It happens with you also, dear students. So in Hindi it is well said, जब तक मनुष्य को अपनी अकल खुद आती नहीं है, तब तक उसकी पूरी परेशानी जाती नहीं है. Until and unless a person realizes and experiences the things himself or herself, they never, get rid of all the grief in the world. And that way, Kisa Gautami was so sad. She was in her deepest grief that time, for she had lost her son. But when she realized that it's not me alone, there are all the people on the world, in this planet, that they have lost some or the one or the other people, the person. And that way she got that knowledge that immortality is there and those who are born are going to die. So this is again a sentence that man is mortal or immortal. What are we being human? We are mortals or immortals?
Mortal.
Mortals.
Yes. Mortals means you can see
Mortal.
here those bound to die, and yes, we are all. Whoever, the great persons, the poor, the rich, everyone. The Buddha said, the life of mortals in this world is troubled and brief of combined with pain. So we should be sad that we are going to die. So if tomorrow I am going to die, today I will die and commit suicide. Is that what the Buddha means
No.
here?
No, sir.
Tomorrow we are going to die. So why not to die today? Why to study? Let's die today itself. Why to trouble? No, that is not what Buddha means to say. Like I have told you, no, if you are there to have a bitter medicine, have it happily, enjoy it. Similarly, you know that you are going to die, but the death is also there. Whenever it will be there, but you don't think of it. You just go on living and living. That's why I think Mahatma Gandhi has said, learn as if you are going to die. You are not going to die. You will be there forever. So learn as if you are not going to die, and live as if you are going to die. Means enjoy and do those things that you want today only, as if you are going to die. Means we always say, no, I'll do it tomorrow and I'll get it on some other day. We just try to postpone the thing. No, do them on time and learn. Don't say what is in that. People are finally going to die. So there is nothing to gain that knowledge. What is the use of it? No, don't have such negative mindset. Be positive in your life all the time. Okay, so the Buddha said the life of mortals in this world is troubled and brief and combined with pain. For there is not any means by which those that have been born can avoid dying. After reaching old age, there is a death. Of such a nature are living beings. As ripe fruits are early in danger of falling, so mortals when born are always in danger of death. As all other vessels made by the potter end in being broken, so is the life of mortals. And he is giving some examples. As the fruits, they will rot and finally fall down, and they will be separated from the trees. Similarly, those who are born are also going to die. So there is no grief or no worry to just think about it. It is going to be there. But today you should not worry. You should be happy and live and enjoy your life in a better way. So as all the other vessels, means whatever the other pots, the potter make, they are finally going to be broken. And so is the life of mortals, that those who are born are going to die. Both young and adult, both those who are fools and those who are wise, all fall into the power of death. All are subject to death. Of those who overcome by death depart from life, a father cannot save his son, nor kinsmen their relations. Mark, while relatives are looking on and lamenting deeply, one by one mortals are carried off, like an ox that is led to the slaughter. So the world is afflicted with death and decay. Therefore, the wise do not grieve, knowing the terms of the world. And that is the truth. That those who are born are going to die. You will see some relatives, some people, they will try to save their son, some their relations, but of no use. And while the relatives are looking on and lamenting deeply, one by one mortals are carried off. Means, those who are there in the funeral procession, in future one of them is going to die, and again others will gather and observe mourning for the one died. And again this is a process, like the ox is led to the slaughter, the animals are taken to the slaughterhouse one by one. Similarly, here those who are born in this world are going to die in future. One day it is going to happen. So wise people, they never grieve for this, because they know the terms of the world. They know the fact that those who are born are going to die. So there is nothing, to just worry or have a grief about. Fine. So not from weeping, not from grieving will anyone obtain peace of mind. So just weeping and just complaining and just grieving and having those kinds of attitudes, you will not get the solution. There won't be peace of mind for you this. Right? So this way, dear students, you can also understand the fact of life here as Buddha has described, that here you can understand not just about the death, right? There are problems in everybody's life, and it doesn't happen that they will be solved when you will be changing your places. If you say that you are in Ahmednagar and so you are in trouble, it doesn't mean that if you go to Pune, you will live happily and there you will get peace of mind. No, changing places doesn't give any peace of mind. Changing or running away from the problems doesn't give at all peace of mind. But facing them, understanding them, and finding the solution is going to give you peace of mind, right? For example, as a student, I'm sharing with you, you are going to face board examination, right? And you are just worried, I'm in class 10, I cannot play, I cannot go out, I cannot have talks with my friends. No, don't just think of them. Rather, you concentrate on your studies, finish with them, make a plan, and do everything. Make a plan. Have some time for your games. Have some time for your hobbies. Have some time for your studies. But if you are not studying at all and just wishing to do all other things, you are wrong. You will never gain that peace of mind. But when you are done with your study and when you are going out to play, nobody will scold you. Nobody will shout at you. And there you will be able to play to your heart's content happily. And that is a peace of mind that you can gain. Means whatever we want to do, you can do. That may give you peace of mind, but not avoiding the things and doing the things that you want. So do those that are required, that they are necessity, and then go for the others. That way also you will get peace of mind. And for example, you are going fat day by day and you are not taking exercise at all, being a student. You will not be happy with your fat body. So what you do? You get up early in the morning, take some exercise that is required, make some changes in your food items that you are eating and some of your habits. Finally, you will get slim body as you wish. You will get all the, things that you want in your life, but following the proper way. And that will finally give you peace of mind. Right? Understanding, dear students?
Yes, sir.
In fact, work while you work, play while you play. That is the way of happy and gay. Means if you want to be happy in your life, you do the things that are supposed to be done at the moment. I'll repeat again. Work while you work, play while you play. That is the way to be happy and gay. Right? So what is it? Can anyone repeat? What do you mean when I say work while you work, play while you play? It means at the time, if you are supposed to do something, you do it that time only. Don't postpone it. And that will not eat up your mind and nobody will blame for that. Right? And that is a way that you can find a peace of mind. Then on the contrary, his pain will be the greater and his body will suffer. He will make himself sick and pale, yet the dead are not saved by the lamentation. And if someone dies and you are also just weeping and weeping, crying yourself longer and longer throughout the day, 1 day, 2 days pass, 3 days pass, you are not having food, then you are, getting pain yourself. Your body will suffer and the day will come, you will be no more. And that way here, Gautam Buddha says, he will make himself sick and pale, yet the dead are not saved by his lamentation. He who seeks peace should draw out the arrow of lamentation and complaint and grief. He who has drawn out the arrow and has become composed will obtain peace of mind. He who has overcome all sorrow will become free from sorrow and be blessed. It is said, spoken words, the arrow once has been gone out of the bow,
Straight arrow.
they never come back, right? So we should be wise enough to use our words, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
what do you understand from here, where, Gautam Buddha says, he who seeks peace should draw out the arrow of lamentation and complaint and grief. What do you understand?
That we should not complain every time.
Means we should not have negative attitude about all the things.
Yes.
We should try to find a solution. And there are various ways to get the solution for the thing. Where there is a problem, there is a solution. We know that. But your
Yes,
complaints will not give you solution. That grief you are in, it will not give you solution. The lamentation, expression of sorrow. Again, every time you are sharing your grief, today, there was pain in my stomach and I was suffering. Okay, you consult a doctor, take medicine, you will feel well. But you are not doing that because the bitter tablet or the medicine is there given, and you are just going and going sharing your sorrow with everybody, your grief. There is no solution. If you are just complaining about the world, today it rained, why it rained, no, that is not a solution. Your grief is not the solution. Then what is the solution? There he says, Gautam Buddha. He who has drawn out the arrow, means when you are away from, or when you are getting rid of these things, of your lamentation, complaint and grief, and you are trying to get the solution, to find the solution, then you will obtain peace of mind. Right? So he who has overcome all sorrow will become free from sorrow and be blessed. So when you understand, that this is going to happen, you will be careful. For example, on the way you are walking and you know that there is a pitch on the way. You will be careful and will take a turn there and will be, careful. But those who don't know, they will simply go and fall in it. And there is a sorrow for them. So knowledge, if you have, that is enlightenment, self-awakenedness, self-realization, they never get any sorrow and they are always blessed in their life. But those who are just being lazy, don't want to do anything and just go on complaining and are always in grief, are always in a sorrow and they are not blessed. That's what here Gautam Buddha means to say. Understanding, dear students?
Yes, sir.
Even with the help of question and their answers, you will get it well. Fine?
Yes, sir.
There are many things, dear students, that we can learn. It depends on the views, the aspects that you are looking at while you are reading and listening to the audio of the text. The more you read, dear students, every time you will find something different, something new that you have not thought of. So read the text, all the textbook as much as possible, as many times as possible. It will definitely help you understanding all the concepts, everything from all the subjects, all the times. Right?
Yes, sir.
Anything that you want to share, something that you want to ask? Yes, dear students.
No, sir.
Here Shreya has mentioned that I should share the recording of the sessions. Yes, dear students, I'll share with you the link where you will get all these, videos recorded. All are there on YouTube. All, right from the first lecture that we had to till today. All the lectures are there available on YouTube.
Okay, sir. Okay,
There
sir.
is they are also available on Google Drive. I'll share with you the link. Okay, in tomorrow's session, I'll share with you in the
Okay.
chat box or maybe in today's message. I'll share with you the question and their answer. There you will get both the links, YouTube link where you can watch all these videos, all these lectures. They are available, and also another link of Google Drive where you can download these all lectures for you all. Fine.
Yes, sir.
So once again, happy Dashera. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Same to you.
Same to you, sir.
Also happy. What is another specialty? Which day? Dhamma Chakra
Dhammachakra
Pravartan Day.
Pravartan.
Okay. So thank you so much. If possible, watch it, the first episode from Bharatvarsh
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
by ABP News. And there is a series about 10, 11 great personalities like Gautam Buddha have been well elaborated there by Anupam Kher as an anchor. And it is, not just animated, but it is just like a movie that you would enjoy definitely. So once again, happy Dashara, dear students. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead. Take care.
Sir.
Bye.
Sir, I want to ask something.
Yes, yes, Swasti.
Sir, from tomorrow will we be having lectures at 1 p.m.?
Yes, dear. Why are you asking many of you same question? Yes, dear. And Swasti, what's the problem, dear?
No, sir, nothing.
Don't you want?
We want, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much. Bye. Happy
Thank you.
New Year.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.
Thank you. Bye, sir.
Hi, sir.